Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up.
To AfrigaZone for Africa to win. My name is Raphael. Thank you for clicking on my channel again to watch this video. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you why the truth is ending up coming out. Because you cannot hide the truth. My name is Raphael. I am part of the diaspora. I am in the diaspora right now, and wonderful people in the diaspora and the diaspora. Stay tuned and watch this. I will come back.
System. It's based on large multinational companies. It's based on private profits. It's based on a very, very low measure of international transfers to help poor people, sometimes none at all. It's based on extreme irresponsibility of powerful countries with regard to the environment. And it's based on a radical denial of rights of poor people, as we just heard. It's interesting, we heard from the Minister of DRC, what's wrong with your country? Well, we don't even start by saying the King of Belgium created a slave colony for 30 years. The government of Belgium ran the slave colony for another 40 years. The CIA assassinated your first popular leader, Mr. Lumumba, and then installed another dictatorship for the next 30 years. And then Glencore and others now suck out your cobalt without giving you tax income. We don't reflect on that. We say, what's wrong with you? Why don't you govern properly? And so we have a system, but we need a different system. We cannot turn this over to the private sector. We already did about 100 years ago. Not only to the private sector with the US military behind it. I come from a country that not only doesn't care about the world's poor, it doesn't even care about its own poor. 1 in 7 Americans is hungry right now. And they don't care. I mean, the poor people care, but one political party, all it cares about is cutting taxes for the rich and filibustering any solution. So we're in a world that's really tough. The private sector is not going to solve this problem. I'm sorry to say to all of the private sector leaders, behave, pay your taxes, follow the rules. That's what you should do. And what the governments should do is the following. They won't, but they should. First, the G20 should become the G21 by inviting systemically the chairperson of the African Union and the African Union to be the 21st country. The European Union is a member of the G20 as the EU. If you add the AU as the 21st for the G21, you add 1.4 billion people to representation at that crucial event. That will change decisively the discussion because 1.4 billion people are not at the table for finance right now, and they need to be. So my first recommendation is the G21. I love the G20. Add 1 seat, 1.4 billion people with the AU represented. Second, we need an order of magnitude change of development finance. The rich countries just borrowed $17 trillion for COVID. The poor countries, nothing. Because the rich countries can borrow at 0, and the poor countries pay 5 or 10% coupon rates or have no access at all. So the world exposed its grotesque inequality this past year and a half. Rich countries didn't say, we tighten our belts, why don't you? My country spent $7 trillion of emergency funding, not 1 penny for anybody else, by the way. $7 trillion, it didn't even cross the imagination of the US Congress to include a few crumbs for the rest of the world.
I hope you enjoyed, even though it is a hard truth. It is something that hurts. It is something that is painful. Our early leaders, some people like Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba of Congo, a charismatic man and a politician. Somebody like Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana. The man had a dream of Africa to be united, to become a united Africa 60 years ago, 50 years ago. We see people like Sylvanus Olympio of Togo killed and assassinated because They have a vision for their nations in Africa. Now, this hard truth reveals what has been always behind the scene, that things has been controlled by the Western world in order to control the nations and the continent of Africa. Because Africa is one of the huge continents among all the continents. Africa has all the mineral resources. Africa has the natural resources. Africa has potentials to feed itself or herself and feed others. They had a plan to maintain Africa in poverty, to make Africa beggars, to make Africa a land where things are exported into from the Western world, where Africa should import, is obligated to import everything. In this video, we hear the hard truth that Lumumba, the reason why Lumumba has been assassinated, because they have vision, a good vision for their nation and for the continent of Africa. The CIA is behind all this. The economic plan to maintain Africa in a poverty is behind this. On this channel, we talk about the return back to Africa as a diaspora. I've been a diaspora in the US for about 20 years, making my preparation to return back home with my family. We cannot talk about return back to Africa. We cannot talk about that without talking about the past that Africa has gone through until this time. There's an awakening. There's another awakening again of the black continent, because we account actually 1.4 billion as population, and this could be double in 50 to 20 years. So the workforce in Africa is going to be tremendous. The revelation of the economic system that is reigning over the world, it is revealed by Jeffrey Sachs. He is an expert, an American economic expert. You hear it very well. The reason why there's a gap between Africa and them right now is through those organizations. Our education is being kind of shaped by the Western world. There are things that are, when I used to go to a school in Africa, I started education and I finished my high school. There are things that I learned, they are not needed even for life. They are not needed in the workforce. But these are still taught in Africa to maintain us in ignorance. It's time for Africa to wake up. In terms of G20, one of the powerful coalitions in the world, there's not even a single nation of Africa. It's suggesting is that if this G20 are going to be deciding how things are run in the world economically, it should be an inclusion, at least of AU, because AU, European Union, EU is part of it. That the representation of Africa through AU, African Union, should represent the population of Africa, which account right now of 1.4 billion. Why not? We have to equalize in certain things in decision making, but this has not been done. How can we make the decision of the whole world, on behalf of the whole world, without including the biggest continent, which accounts for 1.4 billion of people? Africa has been ostracized. Africa has been tread upon. Africa has been ignored. But people in the diaspora, China is where it is right now because of the rise of its diaspora, of you and I, to begin to invest massively back in Africa. For our brothers and sisters, African Americans in the diaspora, in the United States, in the UK, in the island of Jamaica, in the island of Barbados, in the island of Trinidad and Tobago, in the island of Belize and the Bahamas, there's another awakening. And we see that African population right now, out of 1.4 billion, 65%, now 65% are under 25 years old. And there's another awakening. The cycle of we rising up is here. It's here. This is what I brought to you back again today, that we are rising up again. It's time for the lions to begin to tell their stories. We cannot talk about return back to Africa. We can talk about investment in Africa without talking about geopolitics, how the system is also run globally. You'll see me soon back again with an interesting video. AfrigaZone, for Africa to win. Ciao. See you again in my next video. Wonderful people of the diaspora, here is my first store. AfrigaZone is now going productive, and our motto is for Africa to win. And our revenue, let you know that our revenue, the 50% of our revenue goes to helping people in Africa, the less privileged than us, in supplying their school materials and assets. So do not hesitate to visit the store through this link, AfrigaZone.merchpass.com, and you'll see my product, and all over the world it can be ordered and it'll be delivered to your door effectively. And I'm announcing this to our community to support me and to support AfrigaZone in the journey of moving back to Africa, and also participating in the development, participating in the emancipation of our continent. Thank you very much.